What's good, guys? Your girl AP The Gift. Right now, we live from the country, the 229, Thomasville, Georgia. Right now, I'm in my little safe space, my little private location. And today, I just want to give you all a little insight about who I am, what I do, where I come from, and just what it's like coming from where I come from. So, I was born in Albany, Georgia. For those who don't know, Albany is. It's like the hood of the South in the country, for real, South Georgia. But I was born in Albany, really raised in Thomasville, went to Thomas County schools all my life. And I always had a passion for music. Like, since I was young, I fell in love with music at a very, very early age and didn't know what it would blossom into later. Like, growing up, I was in a 3-generation household, I often like to say. My great-grandma, my grandma, and my mom all lived in the same household, and they were the start of a new generation. My great-grandma, I believe she was the youngest. Don't get me wrong, I may be wrong, but I believe she was the youngest of her sisters. And she had my grandma, which is the only girl that she had out of 8 kids. And then my grandma had my mom, which is her first child, start of another generation. And my mom's first child was me. So I was the start of another generation as well. And, I just feel like everything was aligned for me. I feel like I was destined to do a lot of things before I even knew. Like the sayings, it's written in the stars, like you don't even know it yet. I feel like that's very true. And just for a long time, I just was in love with music. I saw how music made my great-grandma feel, my grandma feel, my mom feel, and just all spans of music, so many different eras. I really picked up off a lot of that being so young, not realizing it. At the age of 13, I became a DJ at a young age, moving around with my uncle, who's also a DJ. He also does many other things, but like DJing was like, I could tell, passion of his. And we would travel. We'll go to weddings. We'll go to, many concerts. We'll do a lot of different things, and set up and learning all the equipment and stuff with him made me really get involved with music even more. And picking the right songs showed me how music can make people feel. So I always wanted to make music like that. I was like, I want to make music that makes people feel like that, So by the age of 15, just making a lot of money with him, I started investing into my own home studio. And I had never got that idea before until I met these 2 girls in high school that I was really close with at the time. And I went over to their crib like a couple times, but they had a home studio, and I was just, paying attention to like how everything was set up. And, I was familiar with some of the equipment just because of DJing, but I didn't know everything. And they was rapping at the time. I wasn't even rapping. I was just writing songs, writing poems, and trying to convert those poems into actual songs. I always wanted to write like R&B stuff and stuff like that. But watching them rap made me like, oh, well, say this, or you should say that. And then one day they was joking around like, man, you should just rap. Why don't you just rap? You always telling us this and that. So I was like, why not? I never thought about it, but I tried it out, and I fell in love with it, like actually writing raps and making lyrics and bars and being clever and witty instead of just, I guess, basic songwriting. So that led into a whole nother spur of things. After I started investing in getting my studio equipment, I really wanted to take it far. I knew I wanted to do that for my life, but I kind of didn't want to tell everybody. I didn't want to tell my family. I thought they would kind of be like, like, oh, well, you need a backup plan. You need this, but they weren't like that. I really was passionate about it. I really cared about my music and the music that I created. So the reaction was really, really great. So like my family really supports me a lot, which I'm very, very grateful for real. And I went to college. I'm still in college, but I started college at Georgia State in 2019, spring 2019. Moved to Atlanta. Only had one family member up there, my uncle, rest in peace, Uncle Keith. And he really was a huge stepping stone in my life as well. Both of my uncles on the music side, whether they know it or not, they're twins. But my Uncle Kevin was the one who I learned like DJing and stuff from. And then my Uncle Keith, like he gave me like the business side of things, and he gave me a bird's eye view of the world. Growing up in the country, man, there's not a lot of stuff out here. So like we so used to what's down here that we don't know what else we can do and what else is out there. So when my Uncle Keith would come home sometimes, every blue moon, like I could tell like he was just in love with what he was doing, because there was a reason he wasn't home, down here. but he wasn't any different. He didn't treat us any different, but he definitely wanted us to come out there more too. So one Thanksgiving, I went out there my first time going to Atlanta. I think I was like 15 at the time, 15, 16. And I just fell in love with Atlanta. I was like, I want to come up here. And he was like, there's some colleges out here. He was like, start looking into them. It's going to be that time. You're going to graduate soon. You want to figure out what you want to do with your life. So I was just really, really heavily thinking about that. And, Georgia State was always my dream school. Growing up, like people out here, they usually go to college in the area. A lot of people are kind of scared to veer off and go to a whole nother city, let alone a whole nother state. And so Georgia State, it's still being in Georgia and everything. It was far though from my hometown. Like Atlanta's like 4 hours from Thomasville. So it was different. It's very different. It's two different worlds if you've never been out here for real. Even though there's some outskirts in Atlanta, it's nothing like down here, because this is all that's down here. Like, regardless if you drive an hour or two, there's no difference. There's no inner city unless you go to Florida, which is, we usually go to Tallahassee, stuff like that. But other than that, like, it's straight country. There's nothing to do out here for real. So I had to get out of this environment because, I was very limited. It was people who I thought were my friends who weren't. I used to play my music and they didn't react, they didn't feel nothing, they skip my song, kind of ignore it, gaslight me. So that would lead me, and at one point led me to think that I shouldn't do music, or pursue that, because no one down here was caring about that. But like I said, my family's always been on my team and stuff, but your peers and your circle really matters. So I had to change that. When I came to Atlanta, I met a whole new group of friends, whole new types of people with different mindsets. And that allowed me to be more confident in who I really was and really am inside. I was able to really meet a lot of dope people just like me, who came from different backgrounds and didn't have real friends, and people doubted them in their dreams. So but what I had to realize is a lot of people only doubt you because they never went after theirs. Use that, and I channeled it. Like, I tackle everything anybody feels like I can't do. And I just go for it. I don't look at anybody else. Like I literally just lock in on whatever I'm focused on, and I figure out how to do it until I can do it how I want it done. And then I keep learning. I move on to something else. Like, if I feel like I've mastered something, I move on to something else, and then everything kind of realigns. Like, I'll end up doing something that leads to something else. Like, from DJing, I would have never thought from DJing I would be a full-time artist now. I never thought from being an artist I would also be a full-time engineer. Like, it's insane. Just got my first official placement yesterday. Shout out to Cody Shane. Shout out my boy Evans for that as well. And, just shout out to, like, everybody along this way in this journey. Every single person has mattered. Like, really, like, my biggest piece of advice I would give someone who is from the country, is from anywhere, not the inner city areas, and is raised in a small town is, bro, your network is your net worth. So go meet people, and don't meet the same people. Like, you got to really get out and meet people who are going to do the things that you want to do. If you're trying to be an engineer, you need to be around a group of people who can lead you to an engineer. You don't need to be around a trapper. You don't need to be around the streets. You need to be around those people who you want to be like, or who can get you to the people you're trying to be like, so you can learn from them and be in different rooms. That really matters. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice. Is like, man, it's going to hurt to cut some people off. Trust me. Happens all the time. Still happens, but you got to go for what you want. Otherwise, you'll be living with regret. And I have no regrets. Everything I'm kind of fearful of, I have to go after, because I know it's growth that comes after that. I was scared to get on stages before. I was nervous, but I grow through that, and experience it. So I'm just excited, man. I just wanted to, kind of talk and kind of like tell people a little bit about who I am and where I come from, and just how I got to where I'm at. I'm planning on dropping an EP this year, if not a full project, but definitely an EP this year, making a lot of great music, clean music as well. Just trying to put positivity out there, promote a good message, and promote and inspire other artists and creatives just like me, other young people. Like, you can do it. Stop doubting yourself. Believe in yourself and believe in God. As long as you got your trust in God, man, and you really passionate about what you're doing, you got good intentions, you're going to go far. A lot of people won't get you at first, but it's not meant for everybody, you know? Like, for real, your path is aligned and designed just for you. Not everybody is made to take that road. So you gotta go your own way sometimes to get to where you want to go. And it's okay to take the longer route as long as you do it right. I'd rather be correct than fast, you know? I'd rather be super smart and super correct and always like diligent and on it than just pacing everything and messing it up, trying to get there too fast. So enjoy the journey, please, every step of the way. I celebrate the small wins all the time, you know, because otherwise you won't appreciate the big ones when you get them. So yeah, make sure you take care of your people, treat your people right, respect everybody in your circle, appreciate your people, tell them you love them, you know what I'm saying? You know, like really give people their flowers while they're here. So I appreciate y'all, man. It's your girl AP the Gift. You already know life is a gift, so we live in the present. I'm out, man. Welcome to the country.